All right. I'd like to welcome you all to our travel show for today, which will be covering our trip to Niger for the month of August. We're visiting different countries bordering Benin due to working with Pamphil from Iraq. So we're looking at Voices of West Africa. We have our host Lou, who will be running the show and, of course, adding great commentary since you've traveled across many parts of the world. So Lou, thank you so much, and the floor is yours.
Great. Well, thanks, folks, and thanks, Alex. So, yeah, excited. I've never been to Niger. Let me ask Pamphile, who's right next to me. Pamphile, have you ever been to Niger before?
Yeah, once.
Once?
Yeah.
What's it like?
Niger is kind of hotter.
Hot?
Yeah,
Okay.
hot because they have a
Would he
lot of
be able to sit
people.
next to you, Lou?
Yeah, Pamphile, sit next to me.
Yeah.
But I don't have any details about specific.
We need Pamphile refurbishing computers during this time, but he can sit for a little bit. Here's Pamphile. Pamphile and I are getting tight. We're going all Africa over here now.
Pamphil will be doing a session tomorrow with us, so make sure you all are on Pamphil's 1:30 tomorrow. So thank you, Pamphil, for joining. Again, we're taking a look at Niger today, so I'm really looking forward to this session.
Great.
So tell us about Niger from your direct experience, Pamphile.
Oh, Niger. I mean, I can only say a few things about Niger. First, the people of Niger. I mean, they are business inclined and oriented.
Inspection.
So yeah, and the country is hot. I mean, in Niger, it's really hot. It can get really hot in Niger, like yeah. And the city is kind of, after all the push and after all the president switch, they are now rebuilding the country. So we have, I mean, more things to discover, yeah, in the future.
I think the Sahara Desert covers almost all of Niger, right?
Definitely,
Like,
yeah.
so it's just all sand, right? Just sand everywhere as the eye can see.
Yeah, sand almost everywhere. But in the cities, like they tried actually to build something better in the cities. So yeah.
Wow. I don't know the first thing about Niger. All right, well, let's rock and roll, Alex. So we're going to learn about geography, the society, and modern Niger. So without further ado, here we go. All right, what about it's our favorite guy, everybody.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to... This is Africa, and here's Niger, or Niger as the French say. Now let's go, shall we? Stamped as it is smack in the middle of the Sahara, it's unsurprising that most of the people of Niger live in the south, where grass is more common and where there's arable land and the river Niger, from which the country gets its name. For thousands of years people have lived here, farming, as various cultures arose and vanished, like in every other land. Now the Berber Tuareg people of the north established trans-Saharan trade routes, and it was through these means that Islam was introduced to the country, a religion that is the dominant faith in the nation today. And as the centuries wriggled by, bits and pieces of Niger were ruled by different states, from Berber sultanates up north to the great Mali Empire's control of this portion in the south. The 1700s saw the rise of the Magaram as a major power. Most of its citizens belonged to the Hausa people group, and the 1800s saw the founding of the Sokoto Caliphate by the Fula people, which became one of Africa's strongest states, though a large portion of its population consisted of slaves. In the 1890s, the land was claimed by the French, who set out to conquer it in 3 expeditions, the worst of which was this one here, wherein horrible cruelties were inflicted by the French, culminating in the massacre of an entire village for daring to resist. News of the atrocities met with outrage in France, and it soon became clear to the soldiers that their expedition's 2 leaders had gone mad with power, and they mutinied and killed them. Thus the country became the French colonial possession of Niger. Revolts were crushed, agriculture encouraged, and the French language spread. In the years following World War II, the people pushed for independence, which they acquired in 1960. Relations with France remained good, and the French were permitted to mine for uranium, but the economy was sluggish, and the government was corrupt, and in 1974 the president was overthrown in a military coup, and a strict regime followed, and things didn't get better, and successive leaders similarly struggled, and today Niger is ranked at the very bottom of the Human Development Index. So lots needs to be done to improve things, and let's hope lots is done and done well. But till then, it's bye for now. Bye-bye!
Well, I've got a question. Alex, how did you slow down his speech? Because he usually talks so fast.
Yep, it's a setting in YouTube where you can adjust the playback speed. I hope you
It
enjoy
was much
it.
easier to retain what he was saying because you slowed it down. Thank you.
What did you learn from the video? And then seniors, any thoughts from the video?
I probably wouldn't want to live there.
It was sad how different parts of the country were ruled by other parties at different points. Seemed like they never really had ownership fully. So that's a little bit of a difference between some of the other countries we visited. Any other thoughts from you guys?
That French rule is too much for me. I can't understand how that they tried to rule everything at one point in time. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, we last week we saw that video with the whole section of West Africa, well, most of it being French ruled at one point. So that was wow.
I got that they outsourced their actual wealth to other nations instead of keeping it for themselves.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Thank you all so much for sharing. Here's a little bit of a newer video, but taking a deep dive into the geography of Niger with Google Earth. So I hope you all enjoy this different kind of video.
Mont Idukal Ntanges. Look at that mountain. Cool. You can see real hippos. So what landscapes do we have here? Desert. Yeah, mostly. I'm Camilla, and today we are zooming in on the African country Niger. Let's zoom in. Niger is a landlocked country in West Africa, bordering 7 countries. Chad and Nigeria, Benin, Burkina Faso, and Mali in the west, and Algeria and Mali in the north. Plenty of neighbors. Fun fact, Niger kind of looks like Mali in terms of the shape and the size.
That's so true. Look at Niger, however you say it, and look at Mali. Aren't they similar shaped? I never knew that.
Like Mali in terms of the shape and the size. And Niger is a large country. It's bigger than southern neighbor Nigeria and comes in number 21 in area. It doesn't look like it, at least I think, but it is even larger than Angola and South Africa. It is the second largest landlocked country in Africa after Chad. With 25 million inhabitants, it comes in number 56 in population. Most of the people live in the south and southwest, and I can even see it on the map. Most of the roads lie here, and when I look at the vegetation, these are the greener areas. Well, greener, maybe less deserty than the rest of the country, but I'll come back to the landscapes later. The capital city is Niamey, lying along the Niger River. Other cities are Maradi, lying here, and Zinder, here, both lying close to Nigeria. So what languages do the people here speak to each other? The official language is French, and there are 11 regional languages, such as Arabic and Hausa. The name Niger comes from the name of the river Niger that flows through the western part of the country. Now let's take a closer look. Yep, here's Niger. There are not many pictures here, but there are a few close to the city Agadez and this mountain range. Okay. Tree, Dry land. Looks like a pasture because I can see people have been working this land.
Again, Google Earth has real photos that are uploaded by users. So this is a real photo. It looks at the top left says December 2022.
Huh, that's a plant I've never seen before. See some more trees, see? Niger, it looks yellow on the map, but when you zoom in, it's much more green than you thought it would be. Oh, look at this. This is a building made out of stone or clay. I'm not entirely sure. Fence around their yard. The trees bring some shade. That's nice. Oh, palm trees. There are palm trees here, and this looks like corn to me. In the distance, it looks like corn. This means there has to be water here somewhere. Some taller palm trees. Yeah. Okay, some vegetation in the middle of the country. Let's continue checking out Niger. Okay, what is this place? Gas station shop? Yeah. No. Next, I'm just gonna go zoom in instead. I'll go to this large city called Zinder. They have restaurant, fast food, height class, museum, a mosque, post office, everything you need in a city in Niger. Mandela School. What is this? A shopping mall with an electronics store. Église, that means church. That's how much French I know. See, and I think I see some rocks here, and I see some paths. There are not any roads that I can see here, right here. So I believe people just walk and they make their own paths. Oh, I would like to see a real picture of this to see it for myself. Curious about this place. What is this? Natural rock climbing area. That's nice. Oh yeah, see, it is a rock. Historical landmark. This looks pretty cool. See, these are some of the rocks that I saw
Take a look at that.
on the picture.
Those rocks look like potatoes.
So what landscapes do we have here? Desert. Yeah, mostly. Niger lies in the Sahel region, the transition zone between the Sahara and the
Never heard of the Sahel region. That makes so much sense.
savannas. The country has some arable land and pastures, such as here along the Niger River. The land around the river looks really green. It's easy to see it on the map. And in the extreme south, this corner right here is a lot greener than the rest of the country. But most of the country is hot and dry with desert landscapes. This is one of the hottest areas on Earth. May is the hottest month, with temperatures between 42 and 45 degrees
107 degrees Fahrenheit.
Oh, Lord, have mercy.
Degrees Fahrenheit.
Celsius during the day in the interior north, where the temperatures are the most extreme. That is so hot. Here there are mostly desert plains and sand dunes. Just look here. And here is the topography map. We can see the low-lying areas in the southwest and plateaus and mountains here in the center and in the north. And we switch back to this map again and we can clearly see these two mountainous areas on the map. So where lies the tallest mountain? Right here, pretty much in the center of the country. Mont Idukal Ntanges. Look at that mountain. Cool. And this is taller than you might think, elevated 2,022 meters above sea level. Okay, I have to mention one last thing. Look at the topography map here. Here is Lake Chad, a huge lake. But when I look at the map, it doesn't really look like a lake anymore, only here in Chad. But in Niger, the water is reduced a lot during the dry season. But there's definitely water here. First, let me take you to Ayuru, close to Mali, along the Niger River. Here you can go on a hippo tour along the river. You can see real hippos. That must be exciting. Just don't leave the boat to try and swim with the hippos. They might not want to swim with you. The tour also takes you to some islands where you can see what village life looks like here. Maybe you can start a conversation with some locals and learn about their lives and their values. Next, travel a little past Niamey to get to Koure. This is a rural community, and at first look, it is not obvious what is interesting about this place, but it is actually famous for the West African giraffe. They graze in this park right here. So you can drive up here and see the giraffes maybe along this watering hole along with other animals. There is a lot more to do and see in Niger. Also in the north, in the desert, you can check out the Sahara Desert, see the mountains, and there is rock art. So please let me know in the comments what I missed. Niger is a large...
What a different kind of video. I hope you all enjoyed. Lou, any thoughts? Seniors, any thoughts on the video? Anything new that you learned?
Well, I've actually done what she's done from time to time, just gone on Google Maps and looked at the roads, and she's right. There's very little roads that have, you know, a Google map on it, but there's a few pictures. But one thing that was a little startling was the amount of oases that you find in the middle of the Sahara Desert, these, like, you know, little ponds surrounded by palm trees. And I think that farm picture that she showed that had the mature palms in it, I think that's in one of those oases.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really quite beautiful. And I just sort of wonder, how in the world do these little ponds end up in the middle of a desert? But they're there. And if you all Google anywhere in the Sahara and zoom in, you can find many of these little oases, almost invariably surrounded by palm trees. Sometimes they have a little farm on them. You know, almost looks, you know, idyllic, like paradise.
Hmm.
Yeah, I was amazed how large Niger was.
Mm-hmm. Me
I
too.
mean, it looks small on the map, but wow.
It's bigger than South Africa.
Yes.
That's I never thought it would kind of, you know, that way. So that was definitely new to learn.
You know, she mentioned rock art. I wonder what she meant by rock art.
She showed the picture. Let me see if I can find it really quickly, but there was she said the natural rock formations.
Oh, okay.
So those are throughout the area. Just trying to find that specific spot. It was oh, here it goes. Here it goes. Oops. I remember the time. Let me see.
Mont Idukal Ntanges. Look at...
If I go right here,
Is that it?
that's what she was talking about.
Oh, okay.
These are natural rock formations.
Natural rock formations. Okay.
Yeah, I bet a lot of the areas are untouched by humans. So, you know, there's a lot of natural state. So who knows what else is in the Sahara Desert, you know?
Yeah.
Wow,
It's in-
those are beautiful.
I just Googled it. Niger is almost twice the size of Texas. Almost twice the size.
Wow.
It's a
I
huge.
thought it was a little dot.
Oh no,
Wow.
it's as big as Mali, as they said. It's about Mali and Niger about the same size.
Can you imagine going there, like hours and hours of desolation, like driving someplace?
No, that would drive me crazy.
And 113 degrees.
Yeah.
Oh
One of the
my
hottest
That just
places
killed
on
me.
earth.
Imagine a road trip across Niger. Oh my gosh.
Oh God.
I need to be moving in a fishbowl. No. But I'm glad you enjoyed that video. It was something a little different. So now they mentioned the Niger River a few times, so let's hear more about it.
The Niger River explained in under 3 minutes. Chapter 1. The course of the Niger River. The source of the Niger River lays just 240 kilometers from the shores of the Atlantic Ocean. But despite this proximity, the waters embark on a mighty 4,200 kilometer long journey through rainforests, savannas, and the deserts of Western Africa. From the Guinean highlands, the river flows down through Mali's capital Bamako until a sharp flattening of the topography braids the river out into several smaller streams and lakes to form the inner Niger Delta. For 400 kilometers, fertile lands stretch far beyond its banks, providing the foundation for human settlement for thousands of years, giving rise to West Africa's most powerful empires. After the Niger River bend, south of Timbuktu, the river enters the country of Niger, which has received its name from the river. Despite crossing through only the southwestern tip of the country, it has a significant impact on the life of Nigerians, as almost half the population resides in the 3 regions closest to the river. After forming the border
Half the population within this area of Niger. Where there's water, there's life, there's sustenance, sustainability. That's an amazing fact right here. A lot of the population is in this area.
Between Benin and Niger.
Between Benin and Niger, the river continues to Nigeria, where it plays a major role in supplying the country with electricity. The Jebba and Kanji dams are producing a combined 1,300 megawatts of electricity, constituting around 25% of the country's electricity output. The river then continues through the tropical savanna until it dissipates across a 36,000 square kilometer large delta region into the Atlantic Ocean. Chapter 2: The Niger River in History. Around 5,500 years ago, desertification turned the Sahara from a savanna into a desert, pushing human migration into the Niger River bend. This region is one of the earliest known regions of human settlement and the domestication of crops. The fertile soil of the inner Niger Delta is known to have hosted one of the oldest urbanized centers in human history, with the city of Djenné over 2,200 years ago, and the start of trans-Saharan trade saw many settlements rise to become centers of culture, commerce, education, and religion. In the 14th and 15th century, cities like Timbuktu and Gao in today's Mali were the capitals of the great West African empires, like the Ghana, Mali, and Songhai Empire, which boasted the richest civilizations of that time. But just as the trans-Saharan trade brought riches to the region, the reliance on the trade routes also caused their downfall. The arrival of Portuguese settlers along the West African coast offered a more efficient trade route compared to the harsh Sahara Desert, causing the shiny empires along the Niger River to fade out. Today, Djenné, Timbuktu, and Gao are left as impoverished cities who reminisce the golden ages through several UNESCO World Heritage sites. From a European perspective, the river has largely been a mystery, and the course of the river couldn't be explained until just 200 years ago. Theories of the Niger flowing into the Nile or Congo River persisted for hundreds of years, and it took many failed expeditions for the first person in the form of Richard Lander to travel the entirety of the river, making it known to the world that the Niger is in fact one of the longest rivers in the world. Thanks for watching, subscribe and leave a like if you want to see more like it.
Who knew this much about the Niger River?
The longest in the world.
Yeah.
You know, I was looking at that and I was sort of wondering, like, why isn't the Niger just as famous as the Nile, you know? I mean, it's this string of this pearl that brings life along it, that goes through a really hot area. And you know, it's not anywhere near well known as the Nile River.
But it's even the history, like the 2,200 years ago. I mean, we're we're in 2025. Like it's the beginnings, the history. It's just like, how did it come from that to this? It's quite amazing.
And it's a big river. You see how wide that thing is?
Yeah.
I don't think they're taking advantage of irrigation as much. You know, they say the Colorado River in the United States, by the time it enters Mexico, it's like a ditch. You know, the U.S. has used every drop of water just about out of the whole Colorado River. And I wonder, a river the size of Niger going through such a dry area, like, why don't they just use the heck out of that water?
They're doing only 2% or so of the world's water is like fresh water or suitable for like human consumption. So I mean, it's that's the $1 million question right there, Lou.
Yeah, they should be pumping. Even if sometimes I've zoomed in on the Nile River, and the way they've diverted that river for irrigation and farming is almost unbelievable. Ventures off scores of miles off the main channel to irrigate whole cities. I bet they could do a lot with that river. What do you think about the Niger River, Pamphile? That's an incredible resource, isn't it? Do you think they could do more with it, like for irrigation? How about in Benin? The Niger River goes through Benin. What are you guys doing with it up there? Oh, he's having lunch, so we'll have to continue on. Go ahead, Alex.
Nick, go ahead, Lou.
Okay, so how about when the Sahara was green? Let's learn about that. Well, that's going to be a while ago, I bet.
We just talked about the Sahara Desert, or have been, so I thought this would be good for our viewing pleasure. Let's see.
Yeah, and timely.
Just pause for a moment and imagine the Sahara Desert. You're probably picturing an arid landscape covered in sand dunes. There's almost no water. Out in the distance, there might be a few camels walking in the hot sun. It's not the most hospitable place. But ancient artists in northern Africa once saw a very different Sahara. Like many artists, they just painted what they saw around them. And instead of what you just imagined, the scenery that they recreated on rocks starting at least 12,000 years ago was dramatically different. They made pictures of hippos and giraffes and other savanna species that need to live near water. There are even images of livestock and grazing animals like cattle and sheep. While you might see these mammals in southern or central Africa today, you'd never find them in the modern Sahara. But this rock art is everywhere, from the Western Sahara to Saudi Arabia. And it's also incredibly accurate, which means the artists were really familiar with the animals that they were depicting. For the artists to be that knowledgeable about hippos and giraffes, those animals had to have lived there. So all of this means that the climate of the Sahara must have been completely different thousands of years ago. And I'm not talking about just a few years of extra rain. I'm talking about a climate that was so wet for so long that animals and humans alike made themselves at home in the middle of the Sahara. The many rock artists who lived there created a record of this ecological change, but they didn't record why it all happened. It would be up to scientists from lots of different fields to figure that out thousands of years later. Geologists would find the first clues, not in the Sahara, but at the bottom of the Atlantic Ocean. Archaeologists
Not the Atlantic Ocean.
would uncover seemingly unlikely evidence of vibrant societies in what's now the desert. And paleoclimatologists would be able to trace all of these bizarre events back to changes in the movement of our planet. All of these lines of evidence would come together to tell the story of when the Sahara was green. In the mid-1800s, a German explorer crossing the Sahara encountered the paintings and engravings left behind by those early Holocene artists, and he puzzled over the mismatch between the scenes depicted in the rock art and the desert around it. Since then, modern geologists have been able to use many lines of evidence to confirm what the rock artists saw. Northern Africa was once much wetter, starting somewhere between 15,000 and 11,000 years ago and ending 5,000 years ago. Geologists call this span of time the African Humid Period, but it's also known as the Green Sahara. And one of the best pieces of evidence for a green Sahara comes from nearby deep-sea sediment found off the coast of Mauritania. Geologists have sampled cores of underwater sand and mud to study what's known as Saharan dust flux, the amount of sediment that was blown off the African continent and into the ocean. When there was more dust coming off the Sahara, geologists know that it was drier, with very little vegetation, like it is today. And if there was less dust, that means it was wetter. These sediment cores show that there was much less dust, potentially only half as much, coming off northern Africa during this humid period than there is today. And ancient pollen from the area confirms this. The pollen trapped in those same sediment cores showed an increase in plants like grasses and sedges, and a decrease in desert plants like ephedra throughout the wet period. So scientists think that the area where the Sahara is today was covered with vegetation, and that it stretched all the way to the Arabian Peninsula. So, what could turn the biggest hot desert in the world green? Well, the main driver behind this humid period is actually planetary in scale. At the start of the humid period, cyclical changes to both the tilt and the orbit of our planet resulted in about 4% to 8% more solar energy hitting the Earth than it gets today, and this warmed up the northern hemisphere. And when one of the hemispheres gets warmer, powerful winds tend to move toward it, bringing lots of rain. That's because air rises in the warmer area, combining with wind to draw moisture up into the atmosphere. This cycle, called the African monsoon, happens on a small scale every year during the summer and winter. And as northern Africa warmed, because it was getting more solar energy, summers became hotter and longer than usual. So the African summer monsoon was able to strengthen and move farther north over the Sahara Desert. Then, as vegetation grew, the plants held on to moisture better than the bare sand could, and that ended up decreasing the land's albedo, that is, the proportion of solar radiation that it reflected. And this helped keep the northern hemisphere even warmer and wetter. In time, the increased moisture made the Sahara so wet that there were actual bodies of water there. Recent studies found that the Sahara had isolated pockets of lakes and wetlands that formed a natural.
Can you all hear? I can't hear anymore.
Some lakes were there long enough that they left behind ancient shorelines, kind of like geological bathtub rings. And these rings showed that at least one lake was truly massive, up to 160 meters deep and covering more than 340,000 square kilometers. That's bigger than all of the Great Lakes combined. And the location of the rock art confirms the lake levels, because the scenes created during the humid period were only made above those ancient shorelines. So the artists basically created another high water mark that suggests the water was very deep indeed. This damp environment was also home to lots of animals and plants, the kinds that today we see in savannas, not deserts. And they left behind fossils both big and small, even in the driest places. Take the Tenere Desert, which is part of the southern Sahara. Today it's known as a desert within a desert, but archaeologists have found proof that the humid period extended there too. For example, there are traces of an ancient lake there that's full of the remains of crocodiles, hippos, and turtles, as well as giant Nile perch. Now, along with the lakes, there's also a whole river system across the Sahara. In Algeria and Libya, researchers have found river deposits and evidence of human occupation, like fishhooks, around ancient riverbeds. And two modern rivers, the Nile and the Niger, also increased their runoff dramatically. These riverways allowed the Central Sahara to connect to the Atlantic and the Mediterranean, which aided the migration of both human and non-human animals. And archaeologists have found that ancient cultures were able to take full advantage of the Green Sahara. Along the waterways where there's now just sand, there are traces of fireplaces, grinding stones, hunting tools, and even mounds of fish bones. Researchers have also managed to get radiocarbon dates from organic-rich sediments and artifacts like baskets, which show that human populations throughout the Sahara peaked between 9,000 and 5,000 years ago. And on top of the archaeological evidence, there are even little hints of the African humid period within some cultures of Africa today. For example, languages from Mali in Western Africa and Ethiopia in Eastern Africa are now very different from each other, but they still have similar words for hippo. Some linguists think this could mean that people from these cultures once lived in the same place, among hippos. Of course, the Sahara returned to a sandy desert at some point. The rock artist kept painting, and their later art showed that new animals arrived as lakes and rivers began to dry up, and the ecosystem shifted from savanna to desert. And paleoclimatologists have used the same ocean sediment cores that revealed the start of the Green Sahara to figure out when it ended. Dust records show that there was a dramatic decrease in moisture around 5,500 years ago, and that the humid period only took a few centuries to end. When Earth's orbit shifted once more, the incoming solar energy decreased, and the northern hemisphere cooled down. This pushed the monsoon south again, closer to where they are now. And sure enough, the archaeological record shows that people who lived in the Sahara abandoned their northern sites first, and then the other sites farther south. All in all, the African humid period ended quickly, at least in geological terms. And when it did, people clustered back around the Nile and other water sources, while the Sahara became more like the environment we know today. So, thanks to a collaboration between ancient rock artists and modern climate scientists, we've been able to figure out that the Sahara was green not all that long ago. But what does it tell us about future climate change? Could it happen again? Well, what we call the African humid period was actually just the most recent of 230 green periods in the Sahara that have occurred in the past 8 million years. And since solar radiation is always changing due to natural orbital cycles, it'll almost certainly happen again. It might be thousands of years from now, and human-induced climate change has to be factored in too. Either way, we have every reason to expect that, if and when the Sahara greens up again, future artists will capture that transformation in their work. They may not do it on rock, but their message will be the same. The world around us is always changing.
One day the Sahara Desert will be green once again.
Mm-hmm.
Who knew?
That's one of the most fascinating videos I've ever seen.
Mm-hmm.
I had no idea of that, and how dynamic things can change. I mean, that's 5,000 years. That's nothing from a geologic standpoint.
Even that last bit, like there was over 230 of these green periods in the Sahara in the past 8 million years. That goes to show, like he said, the world is always changing.
In the dust, they talk about the dust. I remember I used to go to Senegal in the dry season, and you'd swear looking outside it was about to be a thunderstorm, like 24 hours a day, because the skies were so dark. But it was always dust. It wasn't moisture, it was dust. Have you been to Senegal, Penfield? It's so dusty up there. Yeah, the skies are like thunderstorm dark, 24 hours a day. And it's dust.
Yeah, lower dust, more green, more, and then you see it went down, then it went back up, and that was the most recent period. That was just so fascinating. I really enjoyed that video as well.
And the size of that lake in the middle of the whole continent, now that's unbelievable. It's a testament for us today how, at least geologically speaking, who knows what's going to happen next.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we know eventually the Sahara will be green again. Maybe not in our lifetime, but it will be.
Yeah, and the fossils that they found in the Atlantic Ocean, I would never thought that it would run all the way from Africa to meet at at Atlantic Ocean in America.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, to that those fossils though, that the what they used and just the little things in nature, and it tells them so many things. And
Mm-hmm. And
like,
like the
mm,
mm-hmm. And like the rock art, together with the geologist can tell us what happened years ago, eons ago.
yeah, because the guy in the video he was like, hey, these pictures or these animals weren't there at that
They
time.
weren't there then. Yeah,
They
yeah.
were
That's
there. We didn't know that they were there, but they the researchers were like, hey, they depicted this, but we know now that it's not like that. So what was it different back then?
yeah.
I'm so glad that you guys enjoyed that video. I did as well.
It was fascinating. It really was.
Hmm. Science, man, science is king. That's what I'm gonna say. I love it. So we're going to be looking at some festivals at Niger. They have quite a few. So, this is for your, again, view and pleasure. And we have quite a few of these. So this one's the Girwall Festival in 2017. It's a vibrant Wodaabe courtship ritual celebrated in Niger, Chad, Nigeria, and Cameroon. It's known for its beauty pageant-like competition, where young men dress up and dance to attract the attention of women. It's a courtship ritual, but it's rooted in a Fulani subgroup known for their strong traditions and nomadic lifestyle.
What I noticed most about it is their headdresses are so varied. They have turbans, from turbans to um, cane coolies. The hats look Asian, look Saharan.
Oh yeah, the hats were caught my attention.
Uh-huh. They look like they Saharian, the different hats. And their makeup.
Yes.
And then I noticed that they depicted the teeth as so white and straight.
Yes, their teeth are white and straight.
But it looks like a semi-cartoon. Like I don't get what this is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different cultures and people. That's why we're learning about them.
I
But it
don't
looks
know
like
if
that
I
video
would.
was touched up or something. It doesn't look like a pure video, you know?
Yeah, I don't know if I would marry one of them with those eyes looking like that.
They said it's a fascinating cultural event showcasing the beauty, traditions, and social dynamics of the Wodaabe people. So this is a real thing. If you search Garawal, it's an annual courtship ritual that has remained authentic despite the passage of time. So this is very much real.
Really? So why do their faces almost look like cartoons?
They got dark lips.
That's the mate. That's
probably how the film is.
how it is.
Yeah, maybe it's AI.
That is truly
That's
how it is.
It looks like makeup.
Yeah,
it
dark.
really
Looks like they
does.
got makeup or
Yeah.
mud on their faces or
Dark
yeah.
lipstick and eye makeup are applied to increase the apparent whiteness of the eyes and teeth. Feathers make them look taller. Yeah, this is very much real. Very much real.
Wow, I thought it was AI or something.
No, this is I mean, if you all see my video, this is another picture, but this is very much real.
Yeah, but that's like a cartoon.
Yeah, they're very handsome though.
Well,
They're
tradition.
very
This is thousands or hundreds and thousands of years of tradition.
You just showed
I know
that.
it's very shocking. It's very shocking. Here's another one called the Bienal Festival held in Agadez.
In our culture, Biennou celebration means joy, solidarity, unity, love, and peace. People are mostly getting ready for it by working hard on their clothes, food, or even decorations. Biennou comes from religious beliefs, but today, because so many people are interested in it, it has become a cultural celebration where everyone is welcome. Every religion is invited because it has become national. Times are tough. That's right. But this is a celebration, so we can forget about everything. This is a tradition coming from our ancestors, and our children will carry it.
Yep, the Bienal Festival is a vibrant cultural celebration in Agadez, Niger, showcasing Tuareg traditions. It's a time of communal joy, solidarity, and cultural reaffirmation with origins rooted in Hausa traditions and Islamic history. It features music, dance, processions, and ceremonial headdresses. It promotes social cohesion and highlights local handicrafts. So this video was from last year. Wasn't that amazing to see?
Yeah.
Just last year. Here's another one called the Air Festival. So this is in Niger's north.
In Niger's desert far north, the echoes of a culture and civilization so rich ring loud. The area is home to the Tuareg, a nomadic tribe that flourishes in the desert lands. Traditional music, dance, and poetry are top on the menu. Camels, a signature animal of the Tuareg, wrap up the spectacle. This moving display of tradition is the Air Festival that celebrates the Berber tribe's culture every year. A traditional funfair that brings hundreds of people, despite concerns about Islamic extremism in the region.
These are high points in the life of the Nigerian nation in relation to the security context we are living in. There's no doubt that Niger will continue to draw on its ancestral values in order to maintain a dynamic of development for peace.
The scenery is also a major attraction for most. The Tini dunes and the air mountains rising out of the Sahara Desert is a sight to behold.
We would like our tourists, whether they are nationals or people visiting from outside, to remember that there are these places that are still waiting for them and that will wait for them because they are eternal resources. We're passing through, but we have a duty to keep and maintain them intact.
Niger's air region, with oases, mountains and sand dunes, gives the government hopes that the festival, which has been held since 2001, continued tourism developments, and its efforts to bring total security in the region will attract more tourists to the region and thus growing its economy.
Yep, that was the Air Festival, which is a Tuareg cultural event held annually in Iffourane, Niger, celebrating Tuareg traditions, music, and dance.
What really struck me about that is that the colors of their clothes, the whites were extremely white, and the camels. Look at the camels. The camels look royal almost. They look snooty.
Yes. Look at them. Look at those
the
camels.
camels hold their head up high like those men. They're very like almost royal in appearance.
Like look at that shirt. I mean, that looks like a royal shirt.
Yeah, yeah, they do.
Well, yeah, craft. He was the Senegal craft minister. Okay. But look at the desert. I mean,
that looks hot to me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's too much.
The word
It looked like I'm never going there.
you gonna sport before you step out.
It's they look Niger Prime Minister Brigi Rafini.
How could they keep their white so white?
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking. Like, did they have bleach?
That is a good question.
I mean, I look at even these scenes right here. Look at all the, I mean, the store. I mean, look.
Everything is so white. So white is brilliant.
Yeah. The colors are just outstanding.
Markets.
Look at that blue.
Yeah, look at that.
Everything, like it just even wow. I'm glad you guys enjoyed looking at these festivals.
Yeah, the camels are funny.
Oh yeah. I
train-
have to get on one day.
They must have. I got on one when I went to Israel, and then we had to go up the hill. Oh my God, I was so scared. And they kneel down for you to get on them, then they get back up.
Yeah,
it
was
was good.
scary.
It was really high, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was scary.
I was
went to
like
Jerusalem.
lost.
So this video right here, it's a very recent video 4 months ago about Niger's junta or basically president. So, and then we're going to look at a little bit more on modern Niger today.
Abdulrahman Tiani, the leader of Niger's junta, was officially sworn in as the country's president on Wednesday for a 5-year transitional period following a new charter that supersedes the existing constitution. The duration of the transition period is set for 60 months from the date of its promulgation. This duration is flexible depending on the country's security situation, the burden of the reform, and the agenda of the Confederation of the Sahel States. Tiani, a seasoned army officer, was also promoted to the rank of Army General, solidifying his authority since he led the military coup that ousted the elected government in June 2023. According to Mahaman Rufai, the government Secretary General, the 5-year transition period commenced on Wednesday. This decision effectively dismissed effort by regional organizations to expedite a return to democratic governance after the coup in 2023.
So haven't watched that video. Lou, would you mind reading a couple I have some pages for us for an overview. This is one Niger in 2025 information. Lou, are you there? Okay, I think Lou had stepped away for a second. I'll go ahead and read this for us. If Lou, you're not there. Hi, Lou, would you mind reading this for us? We just watched a video about Niger's.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, I sent you a message. I had to step away on a refurbishing thing. Yes. In 2025, Niger faces a complex situation marked by political instability, following a July 2023 coup. Oh, so that's what Pamphile was mentioning. Ongoing security challenges and humanitarian concerns. A national conference in February 2025 proposed a 5-year transition to civilian rule, but the junta's commitment to this plan remains uncertain. Simultaneously, Niger grapples with displacement, food insecurity, and the impact of climate shocks, while also experiencing economic growth fueled by oil production. Oh, I didn't know that. So a little bit about the political landscape. The coup. So, Pamphile, you mentioned the coup yourself, that there was a coup in Niger. Niger. What do you know about the coup?
Oh, it happens that
You the Pamphile experienced the coup directly himself. Let's hear from a first-hand witness.
yeah. So it happens that the regime that was in place, that was the regime of President Bazoum, actually was working together with the French people. I mean, the French president, and they were kind of like sponsoring the terrorism activities in the region. So the military regime just rose and said, no, we can't continue doing this. So you need to stop. So Bazoum didn't want to stop because he was counting on the support of the French. I mean, of the French. That's when they were obliged to go ahead with the coup d'état. So now the president there right now is the general. Yeah, is the general of the army of the past regime. So
Is he a good guy or a bad guy, the current guy?
so far he was nominated president recently, and so far he's doing a good job, because the first thing he did was to stop all the collaboration with the French regime, I mean the French people, and to now to make all the organizations that were taking care of the natural resources they have internally, now make those organizations private. So all the resources are now managed by the country, and they even produce their own armored cars right
Oh
now
my
in the
God,
country.
that's
Yeah.
amazing. So yeah, I had heard that the French did that they created conflict in order to steal the natural resources. I've actually heard that before.
Yeah.
And not just in Niger, but in other countries as well in Africa.
Almost in all the Saharan African countries.
The French created
Yeah, that's
to steal the resources.
Yeah, the Sahel.
They actually, like theoretically, they are not stealing the resources, but they are telling the people that they are actually exploiting the resources while paying almost not even a dime to the country. So they are taking away
Oh,
everything.
I see. So they're supporting the people who are selling them the natural resources for a very low price.
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you, Pamphile.
Yeah.
So let's look at the crackdown on dissent. The junta has restricted media, political opposition, and peaceful dissent, and has detained former officials and journalists. Insurgency. Niger continues to battle Islamist armed groups, including Islamic State in Sahel province and the group to support Islam and the Muslims. How about cross-border raids? Well, non-state armed groups, particularly along the borders of Burkina Faso, Mali, displace communities and disrupt livelihoods. And then in the joint force, Niger, Burkina Faso, and Mali form a joint force under the Alliance of Sahel States. Fascinating. Niger hosts a large number of internally displaced persons and refugees due to insecurity and climate shocks. Flooding in 2024 exacerbated food insecurity, with projections of increased crisis levels during the 2025 lean season. Niger is experiencing economic growth, particularly in oil production, and is expected to continue through 2025. The dispute between Niger and Orano, a French nuclear fuel company, continues over mining rights. You know, I wonder how much we are getting the right story here, because I'm not seeing a whole lot here about, the French stealing resources or exploiting resources. But you hear about that when you're in Africa, and we just got testimony from Pamphile, who lives there. So we might want to do some research into this. Like, to what level are the French disrupting the fair trade of natural resources in the Sahara region?
Take a look at this article. This was just released less than a month ago. What has changed in Niger 2 years after the coup? So here's some additional information. It's not too many paragraphs. You can read the ones or go over the ones that you'd like, but here's the beginning. I think it
So,
also is a
sorry,
great
go ahead.
explanation.
Yeah, I'll skip around in here. So it was thrown in political turmoil. We learned about that. We learned about that they took power a couple years ago. There's been multiple takeovers. Let's scroll down. Let's see if we can see any reference to the French or minerals exploitation. But 2 years have followed. Some analysts say little has changed for the better. In some cases, the situation has worsened. In the events of July 26, Niger joined the ranks of neighboring Mali and Burkina Faso, which are already under military rule. In early 2024, Niger, along with Mali and Burkina Faso, announced its withdrawal from Economic Community of West African States. A move marked major shift in the region, deepening the divide between military-led governments, blocking the push to return to civilian rule. So, Pamphile, were all the other countries like Burkina Faso and the other ones, were they all against the French?
As of today, there is no presence of French support army group in those countries. They have actually retrieved their licenses, and all of them have left the country. So yeah.
Okay, but they're all taken over by military. The military kicked the French out or kicked out those interests. Interesting.
Yeah.
All right, so
again, it was a democracy, but then they were, that coup happened. So it's a lot going on. Some analysts believe conditions that led to the coup remain unchanged today. So we could start here.
yeah, right now I'm suffering. It's been a year since it stopped. I'm going to do a little, Alex, if you want to read something for a sec, I want to do a quick Google thing on the French in there because I'm a little concerned about this myself. Like, why aren't we seeing more of this, what Pamphil's saying? We just don't hear about this here in the US.
Wow, Niger, they have youth unemployment statistics that 2023, the National Labor Organization estimated about a fifth of Nigerians between the ages of 15 and 29 were unemployed, one of the highest youth unemployment rates in Africa. Wow.
Yeah, I just AI'd it. It says France has been accused of exploiting Niger's natural resources, particularly uranium, with some critics arguing that France benefits disproportionately from Niger's resources, while the country itself receives limited returns. This exploitation is often framed within the context of historical colonial relationships and ongoing power dynamics. Interesting.
Wow. So there's a lot of work to be done in Niger.
Well, Pamphile, do you see that in Benin? Like I've seen in Kenya even the way, and I don't want to be too controversial because this is being recorded, but the way some British people communicate with the Kenyans, because Britain formerly was a colonial power over Kenya, 50 years ago, really sounds oppressive to me, listening to it as an outsider. Do you see like French people in a way talking down to people from Burkina Faso because they were a colonial power at one time?
From my own perspective of view, I don't think so.
You don't think so? That's good to hear.
I don't think so. I don't think they really talk down on them. But French people, they are more strategical than expressive.
Okay.
Yeah, they're more strategical than expressive. Like
Interesting.
Yeah.
So what do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is that I don't know. I'm not a politician, so I don't really get into those. But what I have come to understand is that whatsoever they want, they will make sure you sign some treaties and some documents about that without even you knowing. And in Africa, the problem we have is that we don't read through everything before we sign anything. So like sometimes we find ourselves like suffering what we're supposed not to because some folks have made us to sign documents. Yeah, so that's how it works.
That's an interesting perspective on things. That really is. But we'll learn more about this. We don't want to get too far down that rabbit hole.
But
Thanks, Alex. Great presentation.
thank you all so much for joining. Any quick thoughts before we end for my seniors? Any overall reactions? Do you know more about Niger than you did before, or Niger? I hope you all did. I know I did. It has so
I
many.
know 100% more than I knew before because I didn't even know that
Lucas, can
Niger
you say goodbye to
existed.
everybody?
Mm-hmm. Yes, and I didn't know squat.
Well, thank you. That you summed that up very well.
Well, here's my
Now,
nephew Lucas who wants to say goodbye also.
Okay, bye, Lucas.
I hope you all enjoyed and learned something new.
I'm very proud of Lucas. He's doing a great job.
Next week, we have Pamphil doing a session on Benin. Let's all try to come on and support Pamphil. This will be his last day on Wednesday next week, and he'll be ending it with the bang for us, okay?
Okay. Bye, Lucas.
I'll see you
All
all.
right,
at
Pamphil.
1:30.
Pamphil, say goodbye too.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you, Pamphil. Thank you so much for sharing.
Yes,
all
thank you for
coming.
the great thing. I learned a whole lot about the Niger and this really was very interesting.
Thank you, and thank you all. Have a wonderful day. I'll see you at 1:30.
All right, see you all.
1:30, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Bye-bye.
you.
Bye.
Session. Thank you, Lou. Thank you, Pamphil.